Look who's next to me, Bruce Porter. Always good to see you, Bruce.
Good to see you.
Now we're at the Resource Center, and I know one thing that we have talked about many times throughout the year, and you really can't talk too much about it, is the idea of knowing where things are going to be going into the future, estate planning.
Yeah, I mean, estate planning is one of the most important things you can accomplish when you're approaching those golden years in that retirement era.
And I want to clear something up. Estate doesn't mean you have to have $5 million anywhere. An estate is just what you have.
Yeah, if you have children or if you own anything, you need an estate plan. That's an easy way to look at it, because upon your death, whether known or unknown, you know, no one knows how long we're going to be around.
True.
But if something was to happen, who's going to get your stuff and when? You know, you determining that is better than someone else determining that after you're gone. We've had horror stories. We've had one estate that took 11 years to settle. It's very common for probate to take a year, year and a half, 2 years, and that's with a simple estate.
Yes.
So the thing is, you want to avoid that at all cost. Probate, give or take, everybody wants to know, what's that going to cost if I end up in probate? You know, if you want to bracket, I don't know, 6 to 8, 10% of the value of your estate. So, you know, if you simply don't own a lot, you've got $100,000 worth of assets, I don't want your family that's going to inherit your simple assets to spend $5,000 or $6,000 in probate.
Right.
And so those are considerations. Avoiding probate, probably the most important thing that needs to be considered is, how do I avoid all of that? Now, tax implications are important. Now, right now, the federal government's very favorable when it comes to federal estate tax. That is pretty much non-existent unless you have a large estate. If you have a large estate, then you need to have plenty of time to plan how you're going to set up your estate planning.
Right.
Now, exposure to the estate, it can reduce your estate values significantly. What you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your beneficiaries in a tax problem. So if you have a large IRA account, large 401k that you've retired and converted, and if something was to happen to you, you need to understand what's going to be the tax implications to my children, etc. If you don't have children, what's going to be the tax implications to my extended family? That's different. Children and spouses have a lot more latitude on what they can do than not. If you have a niece or a nephew that's going to inherit your large IRA, you need to understand how that's the tax is going to impact them. So I think protecting beneficiaries is very important, especially if you have minor beneficiaries. We need to address that. If you have creditors, which a lot of people at death still have creditors, we don't want the beneficiaries to make bad decisions in a very like a quick response. Someone died and they think they have to all of a sudden decide everything. Most of the time they're going to make a poor decision on something, maybe not everything. You know, if beneficiaries, for example, if my children are beneficiaries, and let's just say that I don't necessarily like my daughter-in-law.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So how do we address my son, in that example, inheriting his portion and not half of that going to his future ex-wife? Right? So navigating that and answering those questions, very important.
And I know you have a place where you speak to people, groups of people, to kind of guide them, you know, in different ways. I know that folks can, you know, kind of keep, you know, track of all of those as you go through the year. Where do they go to get all this kind of information?
So what you do, the first thing we tell people to do is register for our monthly workshops.
Right.
We do them every month. We either do 2 or 3. Depending on the demand.
Right.
But we do the basics of estate planning. We're going to cover everything from a will or a no plan and a will all the way down to a trust and different things. You might have a special needs child that we need to plan for. All of those things we cover in this workshop. It's an hour and 15 minutes. I keep it short to where you're going to get a lot of valuable information. We do them right here at the office. So we're going to give you an ink pen and a piece of paper and a bottle of water, and we're going to educate.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's what we
nothing
want
to
to
be
do.
afraid of.
No.
And I know from talking about you, just because you do it now doesn't mean it's the same thing you want 10 years from now. So that's why people are here at the Resource Center,
That's
to
right.
be able to address all of those things. Get in touch. You know, it's never too early to start a little bit of estate planning.